So yeah, thanks for joining everybody. This webinar is being recorded. We're going to talk about low cost packet analysis on Windows. And again, this webinar is being recorded. We're going to send this out to everyone who is attending afterwards. I think it's a day after. And then for anyone who couldn't make it, this will also be sent afterwards. I'm going to be supplying some links in the chat. At the very top, there should already be one. And I'll just periodically be providing download links to inSSIDer and Eye P.A. Those are the two pieces of software we're going to be looking at mostly today. And I'll also be providing links to the community as well as some purchase links for subscription. A little bit about us. We have Ryan Woodings here with us today. He's the chief geek at MetaGeek. And then I am the CX specialist here. My name is Casey. And we have a few certifications that are put on by the CWNP program, which I highly recommend checking out to further your knowledge on Wi-Fi. Pretty great certification program. And then you can catch us on Twitter with our handles here at Ryan Woodings and at Kathy_Phi. And with that, Ryan, I'll go ahead and let you take over the screen share. And Ryan will show you some pretty cool, cool packet analysis tips with inSSIDer and a little bit of Eye P.A. as well.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Ryan Woodings. I'm the founder of MetaGeek and developer. My passion is software development with Wi-Fi mixed in there, so I do a lot of Wi-Fi software. So this will be kind of a technical webinar, going over some of the software. And if there's any questions, Casey's going to be monitoring the chat, and so ask any questions in there, and he'll kind of be fielding questions for me. Okay, so we're going to start with a quick look at inSSIDer, which normally is not packet analysis software, but we have some nice things in inSSIDer that you might be interested in on the packet analysis side. And we're going to start with just the free version. What I'm going to show you is this is just our free inSSIDer for Windows, and this is my home network. Since we're all working from home, I try to set up all the demo stuff from my house, and this is my home network. It's Team Woodings. These are some random neighbors. Work from home parenting is an extra network I've set up. I have to have a couple networks set up for testing and demos and videos and stuff. And the main thing I want to show you from the free inSSIDer is that you can go under File and do an export summary. And this will export a beacon from every single BSSID that we see. So I'm just going to call this Ryan's Home Summary. And that just saves, in a PCAP, one beacon per BSSID that we see. And so we're going to go and open that up real quick. And I'm going to open up the Wireshark so we can see each packet. The nice thing with this is that if you're dealing with tech support for any of your friends or family or coworkers or anybody, and they're having Wi-Fi problems, this is a quick and easy way that you can get some great information from their home network that you wouldn't be able to get from them otherwise. And so you can see this is just beacon frames. Like I said, there's 24 BSSIDs that I can see from my house. You can see the ones that are my network and the neighbors. And you can go in and kind of get more details about what's going on. And so that's just something that's quick and easy related to packet analysis that might be useful if you're doing tech support for any of your friends and things like that. Okay, so that was free inSSIDer. Now we're going to take inSSIDer and I'm going to sign in with a subscription account. And so this one is going to be a MetaGeek Plus Pro account. And this is our highest subscription that we have related to inSSIDer. This will give me all the packet analysis capabilities that we have built in inSSIDer. And it has some pretty fun stuff. So one thing we've done with inSSIDer used to always just be a Wi-Fi scanner. And then we said, hey, what if you took a Wi-Fi scanner and you put out a packet analysis backend, like we have in Eye P.A, and it just kind of hops through all the channels looking at all the packets. Now we can see all the clients. We can see all the actual traffic, what's going on. So the first thing you'll notice is this utilization column. And this is showing how much each network is actually taking. This is showing its max utilization on any channel that it's on. So if like Team Woodings, I have 2 different channels it's on. And we click that, you can see it down here. And so it's showing the maximum of either channel. It's also showing the number of clients that I have. And so with the packet analysis, we get a lot more details into our kind of Wi-Fi scanner type view. And that's pretty cool because it gives you a really good overview of what's going on. I can just click the binoculars and drill into Team Woodings. You can see the different access points and some things that are pretty cool here. If we sort by utilization, you'll notice that the ones that usually have the highest utilization are the 2.4 gigahertz, and they don't have the clients really. Most of the clients are down here in 5 gigahertz, and all of that really is the beacon frames from the different access points beaconing. You can see all this gray. The gray is the utilization on channel from everything that's not this access point. So the blue is this access point, and the gray is everything else, including the other 2 access points in my network that are on that channel. And so it's kind of cool to say, hey, 2.4 gigahertz is just swamped, and a lot of it's swamped because of the management frames, and it's so easy to see in inSSIDer. Okay, a couple quick things we need to show is we're going to go into the access point. So this is the access point I have. I think I can turn my monitor and you can see it. So it's this guy right here. So I have my DSL modem hooked up, and then I have my TP-Link mesh system right next to it. And so that's the access point I'm using right now. And that's why I have a minus 20 dB signal, because it's right behind me. So that's pretty cool. And then you can also see down here on the clients that are connected, a couple things that are really useful for doing any kind of like pack analysis and troubleshooting devices. We're showing the latest data rate that's been being used, and then also how many MCS, what recent MCS index, and the spatial streams. So, okay, I'm going to slow down. Last webinar I gave, there was a lot of feedback that said I talk too fast, which my mom's like, yes, you do, Ryan. So I will try to slow down. And if I start talking too fast, I will then raise your hand. Okay. I just get really excited about this stuff. So this is my laptop that I'm using right now. You can see I have 2 spatial streams, and recent MCS index is 9, which you would expect when I have a minus 20 dB signal. So you can see my laptop has a really great connection. Everything's good. Utilization looks good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drill in to just look at this client. This is pretty cool because you can see the signal strength. And down here you can see the utilization in blue and the retry rate in the dotted purple. You can see how fast this is coming. And so every single packet we get from this client, it's updating the signal strength. This makes it really easy to go and track down a client. And so lots of times if there's some random client, you might have a MAC address, but you don't know which client it actually is. You can just go to this view and track down the client super fast. Over here on the right is this stuff is just in the pro level subscription. You get the different frame types. So this is stuff that we had at Eye.P.A for a long time. They're like, hey, we're getting all the packets in inSSIDer. What if we also showed the TP? What if we also showed the frame types? And so we added this little frame type table. This shows you the different frames that are going by. And then this is pretty interesting. So my laptop is running Windows, or sorry, running inSSIDer, and inSSIDer's out there scanning. And so there's a bunch of probe responses, and that's what's taking up most of my airtime on my laptop is actually all the probe responses. One thing I just thought of that I should note for you guys, in inSSIDer Pro, when you're using packet capture, and it's in packet capture mode, and I've drilled down to a BSSID or even farther into a client, that's just sitting on a channel. And so the packet capture is just gonna be that one channel. It's just gonna sit there. So right now I'm on my primary channel is 48, and on the 80 megahertz wide channel called 42. And so packet capture is just gonna be happening on channel 48 with 80 megahertz wide. So to get information about the other networks that are still going on, I still might want some basic information about them. inSSIDer kicks the Wi-Fi scanner back on. And so right now I have packet capture on channel 48, and then my built-in Wi-Fi is doing Wi-Fi scanner on all the other channels. And so that gets me information about my 2.4 gigahertz network and all the other 5 gigahertz networks that are going on. So that's pretty useful to know. If we jump back all the way to the top level, then my packet capture is now going across all the channels, and it's just kind of hop, 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 and then it goes back to the beginning. And so it's just kind of doing a continuous sweep across all the channels in packet capture. Okay. Yesterday I asked on the Wi-Fi Pros Slack group if there's anything specific that I should show. And Crystal Cross, who I met at WLPC, had a great topic. She said, could I show a client with a poor connection? So I'm gonna do a couple shout outs to WLPC, which is a great conference, and whenever we can actually meet together again and go to things like conferences, I highly recommend that conference. It was great to meet people. It was great to meet Crystal. And for you, Crystal, I'm gonna do a quick demo, and hopefully this is set up properly. Oh, I know what I need to do. Okay, I'm gonna just go to the client's view. If I click on the star, it'll show me all the clients that are connected to my network, which is my starred network. And here we go, Surface Go. I set up this demo, which hopefully works. So I have a little Surface Go, it's playing Netflix, and it's actually out in my garden. So it's stuck between a couple metal garden beds and trying to play Netflix from there, which is a pretty good, it's a pretty good place to show poor connection quality. So one thing I want to show is over here on the MCS index and spatial streams. You'll see that it's going along as MCS index of 4, sometimes it's 5, and spatial streams is also going from 2 to 1. The connected rate is bouncing around a bit. And so this is a good way to kind of see what's going on. If this had a good connection, its MCS index should be 9, and it should have 2 solid spatial streams. And so as this is dropping down, you can see that it's definitely struggling. You can also see that it has a really high retry rate, and it's constant. Normal device, you'll see a retry rate of maybe 5 or 10%, and it might spike up to 15 or 20% every once in a while. But this has a sustained retry rate of, I don't know, 30, 35%.
Yeah.
And so it's out there. It's really struggling to try to get some kind of connection. Also, it's sitting in 2.4 gigahertz. So it dropped from 5 gigahertz to 2.4 gigahertz. So all these are great indicators that this device is really struggling to have a good connection. And if we jump back to that client's view that I was just showing you, this also is a pretty good view to kind of see just overall view of your clients and how their connection is. So you can see the ones down here, a lot of them are at 9. If it hasn't had any packets transmitted from the client recently, then it won't show the recent MCS index. And so that's why a lot of them are blank, just because the client hasn't transmitted in the last, I think it's like 10 seconds or so that we're checking. So you see that Surface Go pops up at 4. That's not very good. Most of our other devices are at 7 or 9. Some of these devices that are 7, it's because this is an old iPhone SE, and it only has MCS index 7, I believe. And so that's the max connection that device can do.
Hey, Ryan?
Yes?
Would you mind maximizing inSSIDer by
Sure.
chance? That was a request. And then
Okay.
if you click anywhere outside of inSSIDer, do you mind just kind of mentioning where you click? We have some people following along here pretty much step by step with you. So
Oh, nice. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Okay, oh, so if you're following along step by step, I should probably note, because I'm a developer and I'm giving the webinar, there's some last minute changes in the software that you don't have. So about an hour ago when I was working through this demo, we didn't have the recent MCS index column in here on this chart. I was like, ooh, this is the best place to show and overview all the clients with the MCS index. We should put that in. And so I put it in mine, but you don't have it in yours yet. So it will get there soon. But I guess that's the benefits of having the developer do the demo. It's like, hey, it needs to show this because that's really cool. So anyway, that will be out in a day or two to the public. So if you don't have the recent MCS index column, that's why. You do have the data rate column though. So I think this view is great and I really like it. And thank you, Crystal, for that recommendation or suggestion to show the poor connection quality. Okay, now I want to show things are going a little bit more specific packets and how inSSIDer can help you with specific kind of troubleshooting issues. So the first thing we're going to do is, hopefully this works, I have an Android phone that is not connected to my network yet. We're going to get it connected and hopefully we can catch the 4-way handshake. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the most likely access point that it's going to connect to, which is the one that's right behind me. So we're going to go into inSSIDer. We're going to drill into the Office AP. Okay, so this is just doing packet capture on channel 48. So I should capture all the packets that get sent from my Android phone. I'm going to log in to Android. And then, so I'm just kind of on the Wi-Fi screen. We're going to turn Wi-Fi on. I can't AirPlay this right now or anything because it's not connected. So you'll have to just kind of bear with me while I get this connected or try to connect it. So the first thing I want to show is if I type in the wrong password, what does that look like? just a sec. I think I can do this if I go over here to the nearby unassociated clients. There's a lot. Sometimes it shows up. Okay.
This section's pretty cool, by the way. I love the unassociated clients that are nearby.
I don't think it's the Samsung laptop. Okay. I think it'd be best if we go into the network and sit on that channel, and then we'll see what we get, but it might not pop up yet. So some of these things get a little bit difficult to demo. So we'll see what this does. Okay. I think that might be the one. You got an association because it did associate, but you can see over here that it did ePOL handshake 1 and ePOL handshake 2. I'm over in the frame type table, and there's 2 of them. Right now, my Android screen, I don't know if you can see it, says check password and try again. Oh, it has a disassociation frame in there too. So that's pretty cool. You can see some pretty cool stuff in inSSIDer without having to break out, you know, like a deep, I don't know, like Wireshark or something, look at each packet. This just gives you a nice overview. Okay, now we're going to go back in and we're going to type the right password. Hopefully. Oh. Okay, looks like the right password. We'll connect, boom, boom, boom. Now you see a lot of good stuff going on.
There we go.
You can see got another handshake on number 2, and it goes forward. So it didn't show 3 and 4. This device was connected, I think yesterday. I was trying to get one of those. No, I connected far enough in the past that it didn't have a good handshake key and stuff. Sometimes you'll see that where it'll connect and you'll just see like handshakes 1, 2, and it'll skip. Sometimes I've seen like 1 and 4. And I believe that's just because it's been connected before and it says, okay, we're good, let's go.
So Ryan,
yeah.
If you were to have a device that's never been associated to your network before, then you'd probably see 3 and 4, right? Handshake 3.
Yeah, you should definitely see 3 and 4. Yeah,
Gotcha.
That's what I was trying to show with this demo, but it didn't quite work. So we'll go with what we got. It's definitely connected. You can see we have QoS data, everything else going on. And it was kind of cool at the beginning where you could see it had ePOL 1, 2, and then nothing else after that. So it's a pretty good indication that something's wrong with your client. And now we're connected, and now we have data going and everything. So that's really cool. Okay. One thing. Let's just show this now. I was going to show something else first, but let me show this right now. So we have all that, and you can see that it's already happened. And say we want to say, oh, I want to save that to a PCAP. We have this little hourglass over here, and we're going to say save last 2 minutes of packets to file. We can just click on that. And we will do, this is the Android connecting. Okay, that's going to save the last 2 minutes. So inSSIDer basically has a giant rolling buffer of packets that it just keeps. And so if something happened that's like, oh, that's really cool, I wish I had a PCAP of that, you could just hit save, and there you go. So this right here is those last 2 minutes showing everything that we need. And so we should be able to go into Office AP, and we should be able to go and see what's going on if we just go into packets. And if we scroll down here, we should be able to see everything. Let's just go and do some frame filtering here. We don't need the management frames for what we're trying to show. And we probably don't really need control frames either. So what we want to show is that handshake and the handshake packets. So we'll just see if we can see them by just showing data. That's still a lot. Okay, let's go and turn off QoS data. So this is one nice thing that's cool about Eye P.A is you can just go, let's turn off some packets and see what's going on. And it'll just do the quick filters. How far do we have to go? There we go.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I wonder why that just got the second one. Maybe the first one might have been before the one where we had the bad handshake.
Oh yeah.
But you can just filter down like that, and then we can see that packet. So that's one thing that's pretty cool. So I just wanted to show how inSSIDer can do that 2 minute save, throw the PCAP over to Eye P.A, and then you can dive into it and everything. Another thing you can do that we just added to inSSIDer is if you're beginning to troubleshoot and you know you're going to capture maybe for a while, you can go over here and say start saving packets to file, and then it's just sitting here, it's just capturing all the packets. So wherever we go, right now, like I said, we're just going to channel 48 for packet capture. If we jump back up here, now it's hopping all the channels, and it's still just throwing all of that into a PCAP file so we can analyze it later. Say we wanted to go and we're curious about work from home networking and what's going on, work from home parenting, what's going on over there. We can dive into there. There's no clients. And now we're on channel 161. So it's doing this packet capture on channel 161. We can just keep going in inSSIDer, looking at everything, analyzing it all in kind of an inSSIDer view while it's saving to a PCAP. And then whenever we finish doing what we're doing, just hit stop on that. It'll save it to a PCAP. If you have Eye P.A installed, it'll then launch an Eye P.A and you can keep going. If you don't have Eye P.A installed, it just opens it up in File Explorer, so then you could do whatever you want with it after that. Okay, there was one more thing that I wanted to show in inSSIDer before we dive. Actually, I guess there's a couple things going back and forth. Okay, one thing we're going to do here is I'm going to take inSSIDer off of full screen for just a minute because I want to connect my iPhone via AirPlay. See if this works. I have a tool called Reflector 3 installed, which lets me do that to a Windows machine. And what I wanted to show is if we go back to Team Woodings, actually probably the fastest way to do this is the clients view. So we can go over here to start clients, and so we should be Ryan's iPhone. We'll drill into that, and here we are. Okay, so you can see my iPhone on the left, and you can see inSSIDer doing packet capture, looking at that iPhone on the right. And what I want to do is go in here and run fast.com, which is Netflix's speed test. So we'll run that. I think this is pretty cool to kind of show what a speed test looks like. And so you can see as the speed test is running on the left, you can see inSSIDer just spikes that utilization. The retry rate is pretty good. It's only like 3% in retry rate, so that's pretty awesome. And then when inSSIDer stops, then the utilization, or when the speed test stops, utilization inSSIDer drops. This is doing a rolling average over the last couple seconds, so you can see where it takes a couple seconds to drop down. One thing that I'm always fascinated by is what is fast.com doing right here? The speed test finished, and it always takes a little bit longer to really drop. So it's sending some kind of post-analysis information back. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, what is that? So that's pretty cool, and it shows you just how how quick this is to keep up with everything. And a couple things that are pretty cool you can see over here in the packets if we look at them that I wanted to show too is most of it you have QoS data. For the most part, we should have RTS, CTS, data, block-ACK. You'll also notice that there's some inferred data packets. What we're doing there is if we get part of the conversation, like say we have RTS, CTS, block-ACK, but we don't have the actual data packet, we can still use the nav timer from the CTS packet to say, okay, well, maybe we missed it. Maybe with the spatial streams, beamforming, everything, we just didn't hear the packet, but there's a block-ACK for it. So we know that it took up time. And so inSSIDer just fills in that gap in the airtime with the missing packet by just calling it an inferred data packet. So we count them, we count the airtime that was used up in that nav timer, but we didn't actually hear the packet, so we don't know the MCS index and everything that it used. We just know that the airtime was taken. You can also see that my iPhone is doing beamforming sounding reports, which is pretty cool. You'll see this a lot in Apple devices. I've seen it in a lot of MacBooks and iPhones for some access points, like my TP-Link Deco does it. I've seen it from a lot of Ubiquiti, where they'll do the beamforming announcements to try to optimize the beamforming between the two devices. I haven't seen it from a lot of clients that aren't Apple, but Apple devices definitely seem to have that, and it's pretty cool.
Hey,
also,
Ryan,
one thing, yeah.
Got an interesting question from Rachel regarding this. Is there any way to separate or see the in-out traffic or the upload versus download traffic at all?
That is great. inSSIDer has it, and then I can't remember why, but it seemed like the table was getting big, and I kind of simplified it. But I like that, and I'm definitely happy to put that back with like an up count and down count.
Gotcha.
So question for Rachel then, if you could put in the chat, just we have the packet counts and the time. Do you want both of them for up and for down? Or is there anything specific that you want to show? But inSSIDer definitely has all that information, so we can adapt this and modify it. And I love to hear, what people want out of the tool. So I think that's great. Okay,
Thank you.
so we showed, I'm looking at my list of things, the AirPlay, we showed save recent to PCAP. We seems Eye P.A. One other thing I want to show is large PCAP files. First, we'll show what inSSIDer since we're already here. I'm going to turn off my screenplay on my phone, though. I don't think I need that anymore. We'll go back into large screen. All right. One thing that's kind of hard, lots of times you'll end up with a large PCAP file because you're trying to capture an event, you don't know what's going to happen. And so you just, you hit start and you just keep capturing for a long time. You hit save, what's all in there. I thought it'd be pretty cool to see that from an inSSIDer point of view. And since we're already saving PCAPs and doing different things, it's like, well, what if we can just read the PCAP in? So we built that in. This is a packet capture I did of my daughter's elementary school. It has a bunch of Android devices. They connect weird. The teachers are always walking out the hallway to get a connection because it won't connect in the classroom. And so I was like, this is strange. Let me do a packet capture and see what's going on. Oh, demo fail. Yikes. Yikes. Okay.
Need to send an error report to the developer.
Right? Wow. Okay, you can see up here it's opening. It's all opened. This is the network.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So BSD
That's why it
is
crashed.
yeah, Boise School District. You can see they have devices, guest, and PKI, whatever that is. But each access point has 3 SSIDs on it. This is the one all the kids connect to. It's everywhere. They have 1 access point per classroom, and it's a 2-story brick, about 100-year-old building. And so you can see there's massive differences in signal strength and everything. What gets interesting that I want to show is, let's go in here. I want to star this network so it says, hey, that's mine. And then we'll go into the clients. I think we do this. So we will do sort my clients by signal strength. Oh, I thought I had this over here. Didn't I used to have one that had the WSSID?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think I took it off. Yikes. Okay, I'm going to put that back too. I used to have a BSSID column. But one thing that gets interesting is if you look at all the clients that are nearby and you watch the access point that they're connected to, it changes around. And so the channel that they're connected to changes. The best place to see is probably down here in the graph. And you can see that they're just connected all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not even
2.4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopping all over.
Yep. And so you think that
they're all so
these
close to each
devices,
other.
yeah, are all in the same classroom, but they're connected to like, I don't know, 10, 15 different access points. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. There's just a massive sticky client problem. But
comment
cool
from
building.
Eric.
Yeah.
A K-12 with Wi-Fi issues. I don't believe it.
Right? Never happens. So that's pretty cool to see that in inSSIDer. Now, if we close inSSIDer, let's just go into Eye P.A and take a look at that same file, and you get like just a different view of it. It's interesting. So let's go. I can't remember which of these I clicked, but I think these are all pretty similar. They're all within minutes of each other. Okay. So here we go. Here's the BSD devices. We click into that. And it's interesting that a few of the access points have all the airtime and a bunch of access points don't. I think it's because a couple of classrooms are doing activities at a time that are on the computers. But still there's 4 APs that are all very close to the same airtime. And I know that there was one class that all the computers were on it, all their Chromebooks. And so you can see how the devices are not connecting to the one that they should. And it's kind of cool to just look at the same PCAP file from inSSIDer point of view, where you're kind of seeing, here's different channels, signal strength and everything. and then you bring it over to IPA and you can see it more by total airtime, by network, and different things, and then drill down. So it's kind of cool to be able to use both tools, open large files, and just kind of do quick overviews and everything.
Wow, yeah, that looks crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's
access points there. That's never seen that before.
Yeah, and if you look up here in the overtime view, and it's spike, 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 you can see this capture was done in inSSIDer where it's just doing a channel hop all the way around, and so you can definitely see which channels are busy and which ones aren't as it's going around. Okay, in IPA, I also want to open up a really large file. This is something that we just added that I think is really cool. It used to be that IPA couldn't handle really large files, and it was kind of a big problem because a lot of people have really large packet capture files. So what we did a couple things. One, basically rebuilt the packet parser engine so that it's a lot faster and it doesn't take nearly as much memory. And we also added a thing where if you have over 500,000 packets, it just parses the first 500,000 and says, okay, I'm going to stop and show you this, and then we can go to the next page later. So this right here is showing the first 500,000 packets out of a file that has 2.3 million. And this file used to crash IPA. It was my demo file of this crashes IPA. So now it opens, it's pretty fast. We hit next page, and this will jump us to the next 500,000. So it takes a little bit to process that, because 500,000 packets is still quite a bit, but that's pretty quick. So with that, you can go through an arbitrarily long PCAP file and just go, let's take a look. Oh, there's something that I want to go, dive into, and you can dive into it from there. So that's a really good new enhancement to IPA. Okay. While we're in IPA, one thing that I also want to show you is a lot of people want to capture on multiple channels. Now, inSSIDer, you can plug in multiple packet capture, and it'll kind of do its thing and try to figure out what channels you might want to capture on. But a lot of times you want to be more explicit, and you want to capture on specific channels. So we're going to do that in IPA. I think for the most part, the capture part is much easier in inSSIDer now. But for this thing, we're going to capture multiple channels. And I forgot to plug in my extra adapters.
This was asked as a question too, Ryan. Basically, can our software handle multiple NICs? And I said, inSSIDer right now really only handles two, right? One for scan, one for packets.
Yeah, it'll kind of use a third if you have one. If you go down to the client level, it'll put the first one on the channel the client's on, and then it'll put any other one that you have on the next best channels that it thinks you might hop to. Oh. And it doesn't work great. So it's something we'll work on, but it handles one great. If you had a second, if you're on network view or like looking at access point, it'll use that second radio to do the continuous scan. And so that's pretty cool. Beyond two, it doesn't really work. And so I'll show you. So right now I'm using this guy. We affectionately call him the Spider. It's an alpha and it has 5 dBi antennas on it, 3 spatial streams. You can basically capture packets from a wide area and make sure that you get those data frames that are sent at 3 spatial streams. We'll just do a quick capture with this just to show you. This is the basic. It doesn't really tell you what's going on. It just tells you the file size, number of packets, and then you click stop. It'll open IPA, and you can take a look at it. I'm going to close the capture window, plug in a few more devices, and we'll reopen it. So right here I have an NMX. Says it's NMX AC1200. It's a 2x2, and then I have a Linksys, which is also a 2x2 right here. So we'll plug those in. Didn't hear them beep. We'll see. This is one area that I think IP is a little weak. I was realizing when I was doing the demo, it doesn't always catch the second and third devices. And so something I want to look into in the next few weeks is figure out why it's not as consistent as it should be. So for some reason, we still just got one on that. And I tried hard for this webinar to make sure they had devices that would all work together. So I'm going to just replug them. If it doesn't work, we'll go on, but we'll try it. And I don't think you guys are seeing it, but it's doing the UAC authorization in there. Why is it not going? Let me try one more time. So in order to do the packet capture, we have to run as administrator. In IPA, that just happens on the capture window. In inSSIDer, the whole application is doing the packet capture, and so it happens at launch. Okay, I don't know why it's not showing, something we need to fix, but you just get multiple showing up over here, and then you can select 2 or 3. This window will handle, I think, up to 6 before it says that's not going to work. If you're capturing on more than a few devices, though, you're probably going to have some packet loss, just because there's so much going over your USB bus and so many packets inside that IPA is trying to save and things like that, that you'll probably start to see some performance loss. But it mostly works, especially with just 2 devices or maybe 3 devices. Most USB buses and laptops should be able to keep up just fine. So we can see that going. We hit stop. I really wanted the multi-capture to work. This is kind of an interesting file though. So this is happening on channel 36, which is within the 80 megahertz of Team Woodings, which is on channel 48 as a primary. And so you'll see that almost all of this is CTS and block ACK. There should be some RTS in there. And so you're seeing all that on the secondary channel, which is RTS, CTS, but the data frame doesn't really show up in there. It'll show up on the primary channel. Yeah. So, okay. Sorry that part of the demo didn't work, but IPA should handle multiple adapters. It definitely seems like it's struggling a little bit to get them all to like pick them all up, but that's something I'll take a look at and see if I can fix it.
And a note on that too, for everyone out there, is it's handy to have multiple adapters to catch roaming events, right? If you want to watch a client roam from one channel to another channel, you know what channels your access points are on. That's really handy to have those multiple adapters to try and catch that roaming event, analyze it.
We're gonna try it one more time with just 2 of them. Nope, not gonna work. Okay, that's too bad. So we'll go back to the file that we had. A couple other things in IPA that are really useful is be able to narrow down the time. So say we just want to look at this one section of time in here. You can do that. If you just want to look at that time, we can drill into packets. And then when you get to wherever we want to be, and you want to do some deeper analysis, and we can see right here in the packets table. The packets table is pretty useful for some basic stuff. What's the MCS index of those packets? What's the signal strength and things like that. But if you want to dig in even farther, then you go over and you hit send to Wireshark, and it'll just launch it in Wireshark with view filters specific to those packets. And so that's a pretty good way that IPA and Wireshark work together. Is IPA sends a lot of packet captures to Wireshark with the view filters set. That didn't work at all. Interesting. I think it's probably because we don't know the networks that are over here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and open a file that we've already had just to show it better. Okay, so this has Team Woodings. If we drill into Team Woodings and we say we just want to look at Office AP, and maybe we'll just get rid of the beacons. That should be a pretty tricky view filter to send. See if that works like it should. So now we can see we're getting all those packets. For the most part, this should match what we see in IPA. They don't always match, and partially that's because of the way the view filters are sent over to Wireshark, but for the most part, it should match. You can see there's 2 QoS null, data, QoS null, and so we can see the packet flow in IPA. We can also see the packet flow over here in Wireshark. If you want to see something specific to a certain packet, you can dive into that packet. So the companionship between IPA and Wireshark is awesome, and also the companionship between inSSIDer to get some of that overview, see what's going on in the client, say, oh yeah, I captured that event, now let's save that, send it to IPA. All of them work together really well to do just really quick packet analysis. And packet analysis kind of say from the high level of the view that inSSIDer will give you all the way down to what Wireshark gives you. I mean, packet analysis, that's a lot of things are packet analysis. I think we're like packet analytics, or at least we're using those packets to kind of to figure out what's going on with the devices and troubleshoot the clients. So I probably use the term packet analysis a little loose, but a lot of those things are using the packets to analyze what's going on. And I think that packet analysis now goes beyond just looking at each separate field in in a tool like Wireshark, like we used to always have to do. There's a lot of the things that you would look at in specific fields now. Getting a better overview from inSSIDer Eye P.A can tell you what's going on faster. Just like we were talking with the e-poll handshakes before and things like that. Okay, that's basically what I had in my agenda to show. And I'm curious if there's questions out there or anything else I should dive into specifically.
We had a couple questions. One question a little earlier up in the chat, Ryan was talking about OFDMA and if our applications can show any sort of OFDMA statistics specifically. Yeah.
No. That is the answer for now. OFDMA is difficult. I mean, it's only in Wi-Fi 6. We don't have any packet capture adapters that support Wi-Fi 6 right now, so we need that. We can show, from the beacons, we can see that the access point is capable of Wi-Fi 6 and OFDMA, but beyond that, we can't do anything yet. So that's something that'll probably be coming in maybe a year or so. Nothing in the next 6 months, I don't think, as far as OFDMA goes.
Gotcha. Thanks for that. Let's look at the QA. We have a few questions in the QA that I haven't seen yet. So this is kind of from earlier, Ryan, but I think Elliot had a question about showing the retry rates of clients, which I think you covered pretty much. You had a pretty good graphical representation of retry rate.
Yeah, in inSSIDer?
In inSSIDer.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of MacBook questions for sure. Some are talking about in a VM, if you want to talk a little bit about how this software works in a VM on Windows VM on a MacBook, for instance.
Yeah, and I believe, Casey, this is the way that you use it, right? So it should work the same. What you'll want to do, though, is make sure you have a Wi-Fi adapter plugged in that you can use as the kind of built-in Wi-Fi for the Wi-Fi scanning. And for that, we support anything that Windows will handle, basically. And so you want that plugged in as well as something that we support for packet capture. So you'd want 2 adapters plugged in, one for just the scanning and one for packet capture. That would be ideal.
Mike had a question about, is there a way to edit or remove existing sites from snapshots? And I can answer that one too if you want, right?
Oh, good. Okay.
Basically, right now, just send an email to support@metageek.com, and we'll just have to delete it from the back end. This is a pretty common customer request, and I think eventually we're going to build that into the Rampart or inSSIDer possibly even. But yeah, for now, just reach out to support, and we can delete that stuff for you.
Yep.
John asked if this webinar will be available online later. Yes, this webinar has been recorded, and we will send it in an email after this. Raphael had a question about Linux version, if we have a Linux version.
No. Our development team is pretty small, and so we're trying to, we have Windows for a lot of our tools. We're trying to get to Mac. I saw some requests yesterday on our community forum for Android, and we just have a small team, and so we're trying to get the Mac ones after we get the Windows ones. I don't see us going to Linux anytime soon, just because the amount of people on that platform requesting it are pretty small, and a lot of times we just the VM can make do. It's not perfect, but if you could use a Windows VM, then you can still run the tools. So I guess our main platform right now is Windows, and then Mac would be number 2.
Awesome. This is a kind of a fun question from John Paul, just asking if we had any sort of sample packet captures of a roaming problem that maybe we captured and analyzed in Wireshark. I don't know if we do or anything, but I don't know if you happen to have a roaming issue that you've analyzed or anything like that, Ryan, on your hard drive. But
we've done a couple before. I don't know if I have, but we should look at Casey and see what we can find.
Yeah,
some sample files out there. That'd be a great idea. I think we should have a little library of sample files.
Definitely. Let's see here.
Seems pretty good.
Andrew had a question about multiple adapters. If they need to be on the same USB bus on the system, or his laptop apparently has 2 separate buses, and can he split the load?
My guess is you can split the load. I've never dealt with that. On mine, I have an HP Spectre that has 2 USB-C ports and a USB-A port. I can plug in the USB-A port, and I can plug in other adapters through the dock that's put in the USB-C, and it works fine. I don't know if that has 1 or 2 buses, but I've done some crazy configurations like that, and it seems to work fine.
Okay.
So I think it should work.
Alexander had a question about inSSIDer. Does inSSIDer capture packets even when you are currently not looking at a client? I know you touched on that briefly.
Oh, yeah, that's great. So it's like it all depends on what channel the packet captures are on. So if you have one packet capture adapter and you're sitting in this view, I'm on Team Woodings, it says, okay, you probably care about Team Woodings. Team Woodings is on 2 channels. It's on channel 2 and channel 48. So I'm just going to capture on those 2 back and forth, back and forth. And so that's what it's doing. If you had a second packet capture adapter plugged in, it would also be just scanning across all the channels. And so that's, it captures whatever's there. If I was zoomed into, say, just Office AP, now I'm on my 5 gigahertz on, you can't see where I'm pointing, on channel 48. And so anything else that happens to channel 48 that's not one of these clients specifically, it's also capturing. It's just only showing me these specific clients right here. But it's something that's happening, say, on the work from home parenting over here in channel 161, it would not be capturing right now.
Gotcha. We're getting some costs questions as well. What are the costs for inSSIDer is a question.
Oh, that's a great question. And Casey, correct me if I'm wrong. So right now we have Crush Coronavirus sale. Almost everything's 50% off. So inSSIDer, so there's a free version, and there's maybe Plus version, which I think with 50% off is now $50 a year. And then the Pro version is regularly $200, is now $100 a year. And the Pro version has all the save to PCAP, open PCAP, all that stuff. So let me just show you a quick difference. So in Plus version, you would have the utilization and retry rate graph. You would have all the stuff about the MCS index, but you would not have the TREPI over here or the frame table or the options to save the PCAP.
And that was another question. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, and then the Eye is regularly $500. Is that right?
Regularly, it's $799 for the Eye Essential Bundle.
So now it's $400.
Yep.
Okay.
Half off.
I can see Eye with the packet capture adapter as well.
Yep. Yes, right now is a good time to purchase MetaGeek tools, absolutely. And we had a question how long this will be running for. I think we have it slated at least until May 24th.
Yeah.
I think that's what we kind of have.
Nobody knows how long we're going to be in this, but we're like, hey,
yeah,
everybody's struggling.
Kind of just depends, right?
Yep, it just depends. So we're trying to kind of do our part to help everybody and see what happens. We've seen a lot of uptick related to home Wi-Fi and helping out with home Wi-Fi. So we've done a lot more work in inSSIDer to try to get it to a place where more home users can understand it, use it. How do we get information from the home users? And we've seen a total drop in anything related to office, hotels, restaurants, stadiums, schools. That whole side of the market, it seems like it's just stopped and everybody's just waiting. So so that's sort of like, hey, let's put a sale and try to help people so when they can get back to work, they have the tools that they need. But awesome. Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to go. It'll be for a while.
Bill had a question. Any disadvantage to running 2 different brands of adapters? Any insight on that?
No, and I wish that I had it working better when I did the multi-adapter demo. So the one that I usually use is this one, which is an Edimax. It's like $45, I think, maybe $50 on Amazon. And I like it because it's a 3x3. So the main difference is a 2x2 and 3x3. You get all the packets except for all those QoS data packets that are sent at 3 spatial streams. inSSIDer just shows, if you send it 3 spatial streams, you have a capture on 2, you just get the inferred data. And you can't really tell what MCS index the client was using. And so it's a lot harder to tell if the client has a poor connection because you can't see the MCS index. So for those reasons, I definitely prefer a 3x3. And this one is about the only one that just plugs straight in as a dongle. We have this one that's giant. Let's see. I have a lot of things in my drawer. I think that this TP-Link is also 3x3, and then it has a little brother that's 2x2. And then we have this that we affectionately call the orb. It's kind of like the Star Wars little thing that flies around. And this is also 3x3. But it'd be really awkward to do any kind of troubleshooting with this as you're walking to the laptop and holding it.
Throw a knuckleball with it. But
yeah, so for that reason, I prefer one of these. And this one's just really big and wide. I mean, I'm afraid that's walking around with that connected to my laptop that I would just bang it and it would break. So I think this Edimax AC1750 is a pretty good one, just price-wise, and then it's a 3x3. So you could get a couple of those and it'd be great.
Awesome. Let's see here. Yeah, we have quite a few. Can you see the chat, Ryan? If you're welcome to also pick.
Oh, I didn't have it open because I was so focused on what I was doing. But,
there's some good questions.
We have time for a couple more questions here.
Yeah, we should have some time. Oh, we're getting some Sidekick questions. Support Sidekick with inSSIDer.
Oh, with inSSIDer. That'd be interesting. So I think that the way Sidekick is working, we support the PCAP files that it saves. We can open those in Eye and probably inSSIDer, but I think it just saves it all to a file and then you can do something with it. And I'm pretty sure, cross my fingers, that inSSIDer and Eye can open up those files. Sidekick actually does a couple of weird things with its PCAP. I think it saves the timestamps in like big endian instead of little endian like everything else, and the rest of the file is little endian. And so it's like got some weird issues in the file, but I'm pretty sure they have it supported now and that those files should open. I don't think that Sidekick allows any sort of real-time packet streaming. I think it's just save to a file, now you can do something.
I think you're right.
So
here's a question that I forgot to ask you earlier from Steve.
Yeah.
Is it possible to capture packets from wired devices on the LAN? And basically, can you talk a little bit more about what inSSIDer sees from the LAN perspective of wired clients?
Yeah. Okay, so we just added one thing to inSSIDer on the LAN side, and I'm connected over the wire into a switch that's plugged to the back of the TP-Link. So I'm on wired and wireless. And so it's not showing you all the local devices, but it should be doing a port scan. And I think that something in my switch or the TP-Link kind of blocks some of this out, but it should show all the devices that are on my local subnet. And that's about all we can do on the kind of like wired side. Everything else that we're saying is just over the Wi-Fi side and doing the packet capture coming in. So we don't do any sort of like promiscuous Wi-Fi or Ethernet sniffing.
Yeah, that's been really handy for me. My clients list is fully populated here, and yeah, you know, my IP or my router hands out. I have an Apple router, and it hands out the 10.0.0 IP addresses, and I see all my wired clients, which is really nice. Get a holistic view of my network, wireless and wired. I was curious, Ryan, if if we capture any 802.1x information, if that gets sent up to the wireless frames, that the packet capture adapter can. Just
as far as the authentication.
Yeah, is that something?
Yeah, I mean that's all just like an equal handshake that you don't want to.
Okay.
Alex had a great question that I think I should cover too for around time. Can you run IPA and inSSIDer at the same time? So inSSIDer will grab the packet capture if you start it. IPA when you hit the capture to open the capture window. So like right now, inSSIDer is running. We have packets going. And then if we go into IPA and we do start capture, inSSIDer already has the packet capture adapter and it won't give it up to IPA. And so IPA is going to basically say there's no capture devices. So hopefully that answers your question, Alex, that no, you can't have them both trying to do packet capture at the same time. If we close this and then close inSSIDer, now we can go back into packet capture and now it should work.
Yeah, good point.
So you can only have packet capture in one or the other.
So Bob, you had a question about spectrum analysis in inSSIDer. For that, you would need a WiSpy of some sort, but inSSIDer can support that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. inSSIDer supports basic spectrum analysis. It'll just show 2.4 and 5 gigahertz band at the same time. It's just kind of going back and forth between the two bands. You can't zoom in or anything, but it shows you a basic spectrum overview.
Yep.
Okay, that's Do you have any more? There's like one more question.
One more question that we can answer, I think, Ryan, that's pretty good.
Okay.
It's from Richard talking about trim data payload in IPA. Does it drop the data portion of the packet when you've used that?
Yeah, right here. Yes. So it saves the management frame header, and then it just drops everything else. Some of those packets you'll see will have like 4 bytes in the data packet, and that's just because there's room for that extra MAC address that you might have in your header. And so we're basically saying, well, that's the max length the header could be. Let's just drop after that, and everything drops off. The one exception to that in IPA and inSSIDer both are doing is looking for the ePOL handshake packets, because they're really encapsulated in data packets. So we look to see if it's an ePOL packet. If it is, then we save the data. If otherwise, we trim it off. One thing that's nice about that, the files will be smaller, and also just kind of privacy-wise, all that stuff that's more in the IP layer and up to the application layer, it's all just dropped. And so all we're seeing is the kind of like Wi-Fi layer, and there's not really any private information in that part. So it definitely makes the privacy concerns, for the most part, go away.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Ryan. So yeah, I think we're out of time. I think we scheduled this for just an hour, but thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Ryan, for presenting. I know it takes a lot of setup to get all those devices connected and talking on the network, and doing a packet analysis is definitely a difficult thing to do. So thank you for that. And I provided some links in the chat with some purchase links for 50% off, and then a trial key for IPA. Again, remember IPA is 50% off as well right now. And all of this information, including this recorded webinar, will be sent out in an email to all the registries. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow, and shoot us an email at support@metageek.com if you guys have any other questions. Again, thank you, and stay safe out there.
Yeah, that's a good shout out to the community forum, community.metageek.com. If you have any questions that we didn't answer, just go over there and throw them up there. We're constantly answering questions over there. So yeah, thank you, everyone. It's fun to always kind of show off the tools and have a good chat. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Bye.
See you guys.